2:30 in the morning. Sirens flashing red and blue through my bedroom window. My truck alarm howling across the neighborhood, and there she was, my HOA president in head-to-toe, black frozen mid-scratch with her car key digging into my door. For months, she'd been destroying my life piece by piece, but that night was the proof the moment her mask slipped completely. You'd think it ended there, but believe me, this was only the tip of the iceberg. When I first moved into Maplewood, I thought I'd finally caught a break. My name's Austin Gray. 35 master plumber divorce survivor and proud new homeowner after 3 brutal years of saving. All I wanted was some peace, maybe a fresh start. Instead, the very first morning I met Abigail Gonzalez. Imagine a woman in a pink bathrobe, cat slippers, clipboard in hand, like some suburban sheriff. She came at me screaming, unauthorized early occupancy, as if moving into my own house a day ahead of schedule was a federal crime. She called the cops on me before I'd even found the keys to my front door. Officer Reyes showed up, checked my deed, shook his head, and told her I had every right to be there. I thought that would be the end. Wrong. Abigail puffed up like a peacock and started ranting about property values and the right kind of people for the neighborhood. That was my welcome party, and it didn't stop there. Next morning, I found notices plastered all over my truck mailbox, even my trash can. Official-looking fines from the Maplewood Neighborhood Standards Authority. Except there was no such thing. Abigail had printed them herself. She started documenting me like I was a science experiment. Every sip of coffee, every time I got the mail, every angle of my truck, click, click, click. 70 photos of me living my life shoved into binders like evidence for a trial that hadn't even happened. At first, I laughed it off. Eccentric neighbor, right? Maybe she'd get bored. Then the phone calls started. Clients telling me they'd heard I wasn't licensed properly. Insurance companies calling about safety complaints. The Better Business Bureau forwarding accusations of fraud. I lost a $75,000 contract in a single afternoon because she'd convinced someone I was under investigation. It was like watching my livelihood bleed out while I stood there powerless. I'll admit it, there was a night I sat at my kitchen table staring at a for sale sign I'd pulled from the garage. Maybe she'd won. Maybe I'd made a mistake buying here. What if she was right that I didn't belong? The thought crushed me. I'd worked my whole life for this house, and one woman in a bathrobe was about to chase me out of it. But then Tom Collins, my neighbor across the street, knocked on my door. Quiet guy, worked in software, saw everything from his office window. He dropped a stack of county records on my table. "No easement on your land," he said. "Her driveway cuts straight across your property. She's been trespassing every single day." Suddenly, the fog cleared. All those survey stakes I'd seen, all the panic in her eyes when I asked about property lines, it all made sense. And then came Derek, her son. Kid slipped a USB under my door at 3 in the morning. I'm sorry, the note said. On that drive was 23 minutes of Abigail rehearsing her victim story, fake tears, and all confessing she'd planned my destruction before I'd unpacked a box. She said it herself. Nobody buys property on my street without my approval. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going anywhere. The HOA meeting was her stage. Abigail arrived with binders, charts, even a 70-slide PowerPoint about my so-called aggressive behavior. She had graphs showing how hard I closed my door, pie charts of my mail schedule, even protractor measurements of my truck's parking angles. Neighbors sat there flipping through hundreds of color photos of me watering my plants. It was insane. When her laptop crashed mid-presentation, I stepped up, plugged mine into the projector, and pulled up the county survey. The room went dead silent. 12 feet of her driveway from garage to street sliced straight through my land. Every neighbor stared at that map, realizing the woman who'd screamed about property standards was the worst violator of them all. Abigail dropped papers, stammered about historic precedent, but the damage was done. She was exposed. I thought that might cool things down. Instead, she doubled down. 2 nights later, 2:30 a.m., alarms blaring, and there she was in her cat burglar outfit, scratching my truck like a deranged vigilante. Officer Reyes caught her red-handed key still in her palm, But somehow she twisted that arrest into a restraining order against me, painting herself as a vulnerable single woman terrorized by her aggressive neighbor. The judge granted it temporarily, and suddenly I couldn't park my work truck near my own house. Watching her dance in her driveway while I moved my tools like a criminal that nearly broke me. But the USB was my weapon. In court, Derek handed it over, shaking like a leaf. We all listened as Abigail's voice filled the room. I researched him before he unpacked a box. Divorced contractor money to burn. I'll teach him his place. The gallery gasped. The judge's face turned stone cold, and just like that, her restraining order crumbled. The court issued a no-contact order against her instead and referred her case for criminal prosecution. Her law firm fired her by text before she even left the courthouse. And then came my fence. 6 feet of cedar, fully permitted, hammered into the earth like justice made solid. Every board going up was a reminder that I wasn't powerless anymore. The best part, her driveway was now sealed shut behind my gate. Abigail, the self-appointed guardian of property values, had to park 3 blocks away and haul groceries past the fence she'd forced me to build. She didn't stop trying false 911 calls, wild accusations, even chaining herself to my neighbor's sprinkler system in a stained wedding dress. But every stunt only made her look more unhinged. Eventually, the fines, the lawsuits, the mortgage she couldn't pay at all came crashing down. The house she'd guarded like Fort Knox was repossessed, and she was left walking to the bus stop in the rain while a new family moved in and their kids played soccer on her old driveway. I never got the 3 months of sleep back. I never got those contracts revived. But I did get my life back. And every morning when I lock the gate on that cedar fence, I remember one simple truth. Boundaries matter, especially when people think they can walk all over you. Some battles you fight with fists, some with lawyers, but the most important ones you fight by refusing to give up your ground.